So tell me about your first deal that you bought.
My first deal was a bait and tackle shop. That was the first property we bought.
What the hell is a bait and tackle shop?
Literally how it sounds. In Point Pleasant, New Jersey. This guy, he lived upstairs and he sold fishing gear, bait.
Okay. And he owned the property?
He owned the property.
Why'd you buy that paper?
It's in Point Pleasant. It's 10-minute drive from my home.
Okay.
It was actually the first lender that responded to me. That's why. We were like, okay, now what do we do? Because
you have a loan.
we have a loan. We have to buy the loan, and
Oh, you didn't have money yet.
It's first of all, we didn't have the money. Second of all, now wait a minute, foreclosures. We remember how hard it was, how hard we made it for the
other side. Yeah.
For the other side. What are we going to do?
Welcome back, everybody, to Confronting the Impossible. My name is Leo Jacobs of Jacobs PC. I'll be your host for today. A very, very special friend and colleague, Mendy Pollock of Ironwood Capital CRE. And we're going to discuss his trials and tribulations of confronting the impossible. This podcast discusses what it means to be in your adversary's play and to overcome them. What it means to have objectives, face the impossible, and overcome them. And we're going to be discussing that today with Mendy. Mendy, it's a pleasure to have you today on my show, on my podcast. How are you? How you feeling? How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to be here.
I appreciate
Thanks so much for having me.
You're in the commercial real estate space, mainly from the lender side. But it wasn't always like that. So today I wanted to discuss with you what makes you tick, who you are, where you've been, and how you've defined confronting the impossible, what impossible means to you. But before we get into all that, tell me about yourself and tell me where you began.
So my journey in the commercial real estate space began at Eastern Union. I worked for Ira Zlotowicz, A. Bergman.
Shout out to Ira.
about 7 years. We started in 2002.
Okay.
With the opening of the office in Lakewood.
Okay. Wow, this is in the beginning. This is way
in the beginning. Really,
you started with him.
I started in the New Jersey office. I was from the beginning. From the starting brokers in Jersey.
Okay. How old were you at the time?
I was 26
Wow.
at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, something like that. 26.
And you came out. You're like, oh, I want to be a broker. How did that?
No, I did not want to be a broker. I wanted to get into commercial real estate. Interested me.
Okay.
It was my first gig, really doing anything.
Was your family in real estate, or
no? Not at all. My parents had invested as LPs a little bit in deals, nothing major.
So your family is a little bit in real estate,
slightly, nothing.
Okay. Where are you from? Where are you from?
I'm originally from Cleveland.
Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
Oh wow! How long have you lived there for?
I lived in Cleveland from the late '70s to the early '90s.
Okay.
Even. I went to yeshiva in New Jersey in 1991.
I went to yeshiva too. I went to Bear Hagala till about 8th or 9th grade. I was in Ezra Academy before then. You went to yeshiva in Ohio.
And actually, no, I went to yeshiva in Edison, New Jersey. So listen, I lived in Cleveland even after that until the 90s and late 90s. But I was in yeshiva. So when I left the high school, pretty much I spent most of my time away. I was in yeshiva in Edison, New Jersey. Then I went to Israel. Okay. Came back, spent a couple of years in Lakewood. Got married.
But you were born in Ohio.
I was actually born in Queens.
Queens, where I'm born. I'm from Queens. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Queens. I lived there for 2 years.
Where in Queens? Where
in Queens? New Hyde Park. That's where my parents lived.
Okay, so some of my best friends are from New Hyde Park. Great neighborhood. Mm-hmm. It's becoming a lot more Jewish and Christian as well.
Right.
So you were born in Queens. How long were you living in Ohio for? When did you?
So we moved. My parents moved to Ohio in the late '70s, '79.
What was the impetus for that? What was the impetus?
My grandparents lived there, so they moved there. So
okay,
that was it.
Okay.
And
when did you move back?
So when did I move back to Cleveland?
No,
Or-
well, from Cleveland to New York.
so I went to I went to yeshiva in the '90s in Edison, New Jersey, and I was there in high school and another year in Beis Medrash, post high school, and then went to learn in Israel for a couple of years,
All right.
2.5 years. Came back
Came back to
and then I went to study in Lakewood and BMG,
all right.
Beis Medrash Gavoa. Learned before I got married in 2001.
How old are you, man?
I was 24.
I got married when I was 25 years old. 24, 25 years old. I got 2 kids. You?
I have 7 kids.
Wow. How many boys? How many girls?
6 boys and 1 girl.
6 boys and 1. And when did you have the girl?
She was number 2. She was
Number
second,
2.
Yeah, we lost the recipe for girls in 2003.
And now where do you live?
I live in Lakewood.
Lakewood. And you've been there since...
Been there ever since.
Okay. And you have a community there?
Nice community, and yeah.
Okay. Very good. How were your holidays?
Holidays were great.
We just came out of Rosh Hashanah, Sukkot. For me, it was very, very long. Was it long for you? I mean, it was almost like stopping and going and stopping. It was very
Holidays
tough.
are great. The schedule this year was a little rough.
It was. It was.
There was basically a 1.5 workday week for
One
for
and a half,
month.
and you when you were there, you couldn't even work 1.5 days. You're like, I can't wait till this is over and I get
Exactly.
to Shabbat. So let's get back to the trail of Mendy. So you're hopping around between Cleveland and then Edison, New Jersey, and then now you live in Lakewood. You get married fairly young. You have 7 kids, and do you have any formal education in terms of like college?
No.
No. So after
School of Hard Knocks.
So after high school, what did you do? What was your first job? My job was a waiter. I was a waiter for 9 years of my life. What was your first job?
My first job was basically as a mortgage broker.
As a mortgage broker
Yeah.
before Eastern Consolidated.
No, at Eastern
Eastern
Union.
Consolidated.
No,
Okay.
Eastern Union. Ira and Abe.
So you got married and you went straight to
No,
work.
I was in Shiva for a couple of years. I stayed to learn in Kollel for 2 years.
Okay. So Kolo's the
Then I
rabbi
needed to make
stuff,
a
right?
living.
The rabbi stuff?
The rabbi stuff.
The rabbi stuff, where you become a rabbi and you know,
learn, study the Talmud.
Talmud. Okay. So a true religious background. Religious background.
Our community, we like to, after you get married, spend a little time studying, to build a nice foundation.
I didn't know that.
And then you have a couple kids, and now you have to pay the bills. Right?
Okay.
So now you got to figure it out.
So who recommended you the brokerage stuff? Who recommended?
Just a friend of mine said, Ira's opening a shop here, new, commercial mortgage office.
Okay.
He said, "Why don't you give it a shot?" And I read.
And he was known. He was well known at the time.
I think he had just moved to Lakewood from Brooklyn.
He
had just opened his office. I think the office, the Brooklyn office at Eastern Union opened, I think in 2001.
Okay.
I think that's when he split. Is where he was originally.
Okay.
And then the New Jersey office opened in 2002, in December of 2002. And I knew nothing about anything in business or anything, and I just wanted, I needed to pay the bills, and I read his he has this book called The Ira Way. Have you ever read it?
I know. I
It's
never.
good. It's a nice, it's a good real estate training book. It's I would say like
What does it talk about?
just everything. Just describes the real estate business and talks about finance.
Was he a visionary at the time in terms of what he wanted to?
He was always a visionary, Ira.
Yeah. We love Ira.
Absolutely.
So you interviewed with him.
I interviewed with him, and he hired me as a broker. And
So what did you do? What was your first day like? Tell me, if you can remember.
Cold calls.
Yeah. So tell me, did you get like a piece of paper? It was like
We had a piece of
47,000
paper.
people.
We had a
on it?
script. You had people you had to call. We called rent stabilized owners in New York City.
what was the cold call list? What did it consist of?
Just owners of real estate we were looking to finance their real estate. That was it. And
That's it, or finance or refinance.
whatever.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
And
People that are looking for money. And, we had the sales pitch was, I have 5% money. What can I look at for you? Like, it was like he had it very scripted. And you
and you follow the
you
script.
follow this. Well, you try to follow the script. I don't really follow scripts, generally speaking.
Were you good at it? Was it you?
No, I was not very good at it. It wasn't
Tell me
me.
why.
And a part of it, I would say, is a little immaturity.
Okay.
Meaning, like, I think
You didn't understand what you were.
I think in sales, it's a numbers game. Like, if you're trying to get business, and it's just about calling as many people as possible, and just putting it all out there, and just pitching your product, right? And just get enough people, and you speak to them, and you're confident, and you make your sales pitch. You're going to get business, eventually.
So were you a salesperson? Did you like doing sales?
I'm not a salesperson. I didn't like in general, I didn't like the whole business of just calling people and offering them money and selling an interest rate. I feel like
it didn't go with what you were about.
Not really. No, I like thinking. I like to be creative, and I felt like
critical thinking and creativity.
Yeah.
And how did you learn it? Did you learn that in the process of? Did you learn that in the process of sales and doing your first job? What did you experience there? Because that's a pivotal moment for you. Because I'm assuming we're going to talk about a pivot, right? I'm assuming we're going to talk about a pivot now. So tell me about that time. Take me back to when you were making those cold calls. How many cold calls were you making?
How many was I supposed to make, or how many did I make?
How many are you supposed to make?
You're supposed to make 100 calls a day.
100 calls a day.
Yeah.
100 calls a day.
100 calls.
Did you
Sounds
get
exciting,
clients?
right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I got a few clients here and there.
Okay. Did you get good at sales?
Not particularly.
Because it wasn't a passion.
It wasn't something I really enjoyed.
And how long did you do it for before you were like, okay, I'm going to quit?
7 years.
Whoa! Wait!
So I worked with him.
Years.
I worked for 7 years with Ira. So like a lot of the deals that I got my hands on. Yeah.
That's a while. That's a while. Why were you entrenched?
Why did I stay? Why did I stick around if I didn't like it?
Yeah, I mean, what? And this is beautiful that you said that, because a lot of people stay at jobs that they don't want to do. And I don't know, I'm being presumptuous here. Maybe it was because of family. Maybe it was because of obligations. What made you stay for 7 years? What made you stay for 7 years? If you had to think about it.
So I got business. I did not get business. I was able to do deals. I didn't love the fixed commodity part of the business. You're selling a business you're selling a product that anyone has, right? You're selling
I like that.
As a mortgage broker,
you're not special.
You're not special. I mean, listen. I eventually developed a little bit of a niche. I worked on deals that were a little creative, a little out of the box, not fixed income deals that required
So early on, you saw yourself organically treading into creativity.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I had the same type of feel. In law, you are, really sometimes a paper pusher, and a lot of law is paper pushing. There is creativity and negotiation a little bit, but I couldn't do residential petitions for getting people out, or doing the tenant side, or doing transactions, like residential transaction, even commercial transaction. I didn't see the creativity there. And organically, I also felt that I had to do something very, very challenging, very, very difficult. And that was my confronting the impossible. Really, confronting my impossible was learning about what I didn't like. And that caused probably a lot of anxiety as a young guy.
Sure.
My first job was doing sanitation violations.
Really?
Yeah, my first job was doing sanitation violations for Douglas Elliman. And they would, I would have a calendar of 100 sanitation violations, which were $35 a piece, and $100 a piece. And I would do DOT violations. I would have to learn what the sidewalk measurements of a sidewalk are,
really?
And dismiss things on notice and bullshit like that. And I got really good at it, but I didn't have a passion for it. And I would wake up very early and come home very late. And I said, I don't want to do this. So my confronting the impossible was, figuring myself out. And I figured myself out that I love the creative side of thinking. Sometimes we get too creative, by the way. Sometimes we get too creative, and we're like, okay, we got to get back into the rails, because if you veer out too much from a society, if you veer out too much out of the societal, rails, you're kind of alone. And I think that's where an entrepreneurship journey may begin. But nevertheless, it's not about me today. It's about you.
You start wondering, if I could just pick up on that,
Yeah.
start wondering, okay, why isn't everybody else doing it? Maybe there's a reason they're not doing this, right?
Oh, you have those thoughts too. Huh?
No. What I'm saying is that could be.
I know. I had that feeling.
No,
as well.
what you're saying is you don't want to veer from the normal because and you start thinking, well, maybe the reason why nobody else is doing it this way is because it's not a good niche, right? Or niche. It's just not. You're not.
Well,
if it would be a smart thing, you start thinking it would be a smart thing. People would do that already. But
that's the issue where you have to take a chance. You have to take a leap of faith. I mean, look, you've been on a track for 7 years. Tell me where you started veering off and like, okay, enough is enough. I've been doing it for a while. I got to go and do my thing. I mean, I'm pretty sure that creativity was brewing inside of you. Were you figuring yourself out in that process?
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me about that. What were you figuring out? What you're made out of, who you are, what were you figuring out?
Well, you want to differentiate yourself in anything, right? Because I felt like if everyone's doing the same exact thing, I need to be able to create some value. Like, why would someone want to be working with me versus working with someone else, another mortgage broker? So what I ended up doing was I started working on deals that were a little harder to finance or a little a little more out of the box, or maybe a borrower who wasn't.
But why? Why did you do that?
Because I felt like I could create value if I could, meaning if I'm working on a borrower who has a challenging situation, or he's not able to get finance, he has a credit problem, he has an issue with a history, or his portfolio is a little sloppier and he's not a great operator, but like he buys good real estate. Like those were the things that I felt like, okay, not a lot of other mortgage brokers are going to be working on this kind of borrower, or they're going to just like say, you know what, I don't want to deal with this guy because it's a waste of my time. I felt, no, this is something that like if I could figure it out for them, then I become the go-to guy for that.
Okay. So tell me more about that.
The problem is that if you're doing that, and if you're doing, spending time working on people that are a little more difficult, there are harder to finance, right? The deals are a little bit more complicated, and you're gonna spend a lot of time on someone that may not be a great, a borrower, or someone or may not be a repeat borrower, or maybe something.
So what your challenge became, allow me to say it, your challenge became,
go right ahead.
I want to purvey my creativity as a person, discovering what I like and what I love, which is being creative, doing challenging things, not just cold calling everybody. That's not sexy for me.
Right.
So your creativity took you to work with borrowers, right? It's that creativity. It's like, okay, no, I need to be more creative. I need to do more challenging things. This is boring for me. Let me do harder stuff.
Right.
And then what did you realize? That your creativity, your problem was answered.
Boxing yourself in.
But then your money you get your pocket gets hit. No?
Exactly.
Tell me about that situation.
So I want to just take it back to one step. But I mentioned earlier a little bit of immaturity, right? And is that I do think that sales it's a numbers game, right? So like I said, you may be a little harder to get business, but meaning. Here we go. If you make those calls, if you reach out to enough people, even if you're technically selling something that's boring, right? And your personality connects with somebody else, you got to just do the reps. You have to do even if you're not getting business from people, because you don't want to do the simple deals or the regular,
because they're boring.
And then you feel like, okay, how am I going to differentiate myself? Because I do things that I want to do things that are
creative and challenging.
And now that I had added value, but like you just mentioned that other
issue
that you're not going to
make money.
You're not going to make money. So really, it's like you got to make the calls. I was making money doing regular commodity style type of deals, regular deals like selling interest rates.
The boring stuff.
I'd be okay. I'd say okay.
But there's no purpose.
But you feel there's no purpose. But
to you, there's no purpose to you.
There's no purpose. But if you're making money and you're there to feed your family, you deal with it, right? So the immaturity is, I need to now find something that like I could add value, right? And then I'll be able to, shine in that way. But if you do enough, if you do the sales calls and you make enough phone calls to people, like I said on the phone right now, and I'm looking for value add opportunities sometimes or something a little, creative, or if I want to buy loans from banks, right? It's really the same issue today, right? If I want to buy loans from banks, there's plenty of people that want to buy loans from banks, but I got to make the calls. I have to call. I reach out to lenders. I see a foreclosure. I see a bankruptcy that's filed. I need to get in touch with the lender that's selling that may want to sell the loan, and there could be 20 other people just like me calling them. So
let me organize the thoughts
Please.
a little bit. Let me organize. So what you're saying is, Leo, I realized early on in my first career with Eastern Union Consolidated that I had a creative bug inside of me. And while outwardly I was fulfilling the objectives of being a husband and being a father and being gainfully employed, I failed to live out my purpose of my creativity that lived inside of me. Am I correct?
So
in that
far,
regard?
so good.
Okay, good. So I had to create an extension of what I was already doing that spoke to my creativity. When I began to look at borrowers that I can work with that had difficult situations, the money wasn't in fact there.
Right.
So I had to pivot to answer both, being a father, a husband, and a caregiver, or a man that brings money, or the kosher bacon home, if you will,
Okay.
and also fulfilling my prophecy of, or my purpose of being a creative soul. Because not everybody's a creative soul, by the way, Mendy. Not everybody's a creative soul. People can work in jobs that are mundane, that are boring,
Right.
and they make a lot of money, but you wanted to drive purpose in your work. So you had to now say, okay, I like the boring stuff, but it doesn't serve my purpose to me personally. Now I have this, what serves my purpose personally, working with the borrower, but there's no money in it, or it's tougher to make money and you have to wait and it's long and it's drawn out. I have to just now work on the lender side. Am I correct in that regard?
You're correct about that.
So where did you go after? Well, quickly tell me about how you exited Eastern Consolidated, right? You were there for 7 years, and I'm sure you made a pretty good living, right?
Correct.
At this point, you have probably a few more children, and you have greater obligations, right? The obligations. And where do you live at the time? Still Lakewood?
I've been Lakewood all along.
Okay, good. So tell me how you exited and how you had that conversation with Ira, whoever, and what were you thinking at the time when you were trying to exit? Tell me about that.
A couple of years before the GFC,
Right. What is GFC for those that don't know?
the Great Financial Crisis,
Right. 2008.
2008. So I had a client that that actually provided a little bit of that creative, vibes for me. I did about, I'd say, 50 loans for that client, and then he got himself into trouble with the government,
Criminally or civilly?
criminally
Okay.
and civilly.
Well, obviously that
Yeah,
follows.
that follows usually.
Did he go bankrupt or no?
Yeah, he did that too.
He did that too.
Yeah,
Okay.
everything. So I had to kind of restart.
Why? Because he was your main client?
He was like my main client, and I did a lot of business with him. And so that's a mistake. Obviously, you never put all your eggs in one basket.
right.
And he was taking up a lot of my time. He really commanded a lot of my energy and time because he had a lot of deals. A lot of them were smaller. There was just funky stuff, and I did a lot of business with him.
But in that creativity, you found him, or he kind of came to you naturally? Was it a cold call?
It was an introduction through a common friend, and he felt it was a good fit, and we did a bunch of deals. And then
you were making money.
We were making money with him, and then things went bad, and so now I gotta reset and start finding more business, right? And so that back to the
Grind.
and once I had that client that was doing a lot of it, and I didn't have to go. I wasn't making many cold calls. It was just a lot of business was coming to me. So when he went down, I had to restart. And by the time the financial crisis hit, I hadn't really gotten enough traction with and build a big enough book of business. Well, first of all, the GFC caused a lot of havoc, and you were not
upheaval.
And there was and you know
how was Ira traversing this at the time in the office? Cutting people.
I believe that's what happened. I mean, people were cutting themselves because there was nothing going on. There was not enough business going on, right? So like
because in order to have
there was no equity in property. Everything was upside down, right? Every from 2008 and on for the next few years, there was just a massive deleveraging going on. Right? So
you find yourself in this position.
I find myself in that position, and now I was like, okay, so like it wasn't a hard decision to not be a mortgage broker anymore
because it wasn't serving your purpose.
It wasn't serving any purpose. I didn't have enough of a book of business. I didn't have enough of a book of business that could hold me over. It was hard to get deals done then. It was very hard. Like you couldn't. Things just didn't pencil. So I had basically no clients, and it was just a different market. So and one of the things is when this client got into trouble, I was getting calls left and right from bankers and lawyers and people who knew me that I knew him and trying to get their hands on the properties. It was like, so
I started getting different types of calls.
I was getting calls from different people regarding this client's loans and properties. The vultures were coming out trying to see what they can get their hands on. So I was front and center with a lot of people that were in the bankruptcy business and then foreclosures and all these.
You were never introduced to that.
Never, no. Up until then, no.
Yeah, you were just like teeny weeny.
No, we heard the idea of like if you don't pay your loan, you're gonna get foreclosed on. Right? Like that's all you knew about that, right? But you didn't know what that actually meant, the timeline.
How old were you at the time when this all was happening? 30s?
I was in my 31.
And was it like a shock to you, or was it kind of like, oh, I get it, I'm going to pivot?
No. So you asked me why I stayed in the business for 7 years already,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So like I'm a stubborn guy in that I don't like to quit. I really don't. When I decide to do something, I just don't like, oh, it's not going, so like let me just stop.
So you have built-in resilience.
I'm a resilient guy, and I sometimes to a fault, it takes me some time until I say, okay, this is not going anymore. Stop beating a dead horse.
What's your horoscope?
What's that?
What's your horoscope? Have you got a horoscope?
I think I'm born in April 19th. I think I'm an Aries.
Aries or Aries.
Aries. Okay.
Okay. Continue.
So, that's how. Yeah. So what were we saying? Oh, so I wasn't exposed to that, and you were saying, I'm being resilient. So
right, you're being resilient, exactly. And you had this conversation with Ira about leaving. How did you?
Yeah. So it was pretty. I mean, a lot of people had left at that point. I said, okay, like I'm going to try. I mean, at that point, even towards the end, before I left, I was already starting. I have a friend of mine who ended up being a partner for a while. His name is David Stanger. We were partners. We were buying loans. That's how he got started buying these loans.
Who?
That's how I got started in the note business. Towards the end, before I left Eastern.
So I want to slow that down. I want to slow that down. So things are not going well.
Right.
You're not passionate about what you're doing anyways. Your main client goes down, and you don't necessarily have a crossroads. You don't even have a road. You're kind of like, what do I do?
Exactly.
You have a conversation with Ira. I was like, look, if you got to go, you got to go. Was that really the long and short of it?
It was basically pretty much. A lot of people were figuring out what to do. I had already started, thinking about, I got to do something, right? What's next?
And what induced you to go like, oh, I want to buy loans? Like that goes from like mortgage broker to investor, right? Like,
right.
Like how did you?
I always wanted to be an investor. The truth is, I always wanted to be an investor. I liked the idea.
When did that develop inside of you? Like a year, 2 years?
I had invested with a couple clients along the way during deals. So I kind of liked the idea. I think people the idea of being a landlord, right? And you're a mortgage broker.
Or
You're
a lender. Landlord or a lender.
Well, a landlord. You asked me about how I wanted to get into in the investor side.
Right.
It's not about being the lender thing is just a way to invest in a smart way, right?
Maybe we'll get in
potentially,
there. Okay.
Right? So when you're a mortgage broker and you're seeing all these clients make all this money, assuming
refi and like
you got
flips,
you got cash flow and you got NOI and I kind of wanted to do that. It was something that talked to me.
You learn through seeing and hearing and feeling.
Yeah, it's not like, just learning the business, seeing what people buy, why they buy it, you get a feel for whether I think this client is doing a good deal or not, or,
Okay, so you met somebody along the way. You said Daniel or somebody?
David.
So
who's a friend and neighbor of mine.
How did you meet him? How did you meet him?
He was also in the mortgage brokerage business.
And
he moved into like buying residential properties, and he bought short sales and foreclosures.
He was already doing
that. So we were friends, and we started talking, and I'm like, hey,
what am I doing?
I don't know what I'm doing. And he kind of introduced me to the idea of, let's say, why don't we do some stuff together? He's doing residential and I was doing commercial mortgage brokerage. If I see any opportunities, there are people losing their properties.
Right.
You're literally in the front, front row of the crash, right? So
who?
A mortgage broker, right? If you're a mortgage broker and you did loans and then you have people calling you to try to get debt on their properties, you're literally seeing people who are struggling anyone will talk to you then. If you're a mortgage broker in the GFC, and they'll talk to anyone who can't refinance their property or is in trouble. Everyone's willing to talk to you then. You'll get a lot of people to talk to you, but there's nothing you can do for them because they're underwater. So he said, hey, you're seeing distressed deals on the mortgage brokerage side, on the commercial side. I would love to get into commercial. He was doing residential, and we got, we started talking, and then that's when I got into I mentioned to you, I did CMBS workouts together with him.
Okay, so you started CMBS workouts.
I was in the commercial mortgage space, and this was my friend David's idea. He's like, listen, all these people. Let's see if we can try to, work out their problems for them.
So he was an investor.
He was an investor, and he's also had experience in buying foreclosures, going to the auction. I didn't really know much about that, and I was in a situation where okay, I want to do something else. He had an expertise in foreclosures, then he was doing it on the residential side. I knew commercial real estate, and we got together, and then that's when I said, okay, Ira, I'm moving on, and I want to do something else.
Okay. So what was the name of your, I guess, consulting firm, and who was your first client?
So, okay.
And what's the deal? How do you make money? What's going on here?
Great. All good questions. So the name of the consulting firm was Westmark Real Estate Group.
How'd you come over there with the idea?
That was my partner's business.
David. Yeah.
So I just joined him, and we did, we started doing some, CMBS workouts. Basically, our leads were foreclosure filings. He had a software that he would call. Anytime a foreclosure is filed. Nowadays it's very easy to find it, but he would go to Trenton and buy leads from
people.
No, from the court. He would just have someone go and download every single complaint and just put it into the software. And then we would just be calling people off these complaints, and
say what we want to work it out. We want to work it out.
Yeah, let me see if I can. Let me try to help your situation out. These people were upside down, and we had no idea what we were doing. But we actually worked out a couple deals. We were dealing with.
How would you take the fee? What's the fee like?
It was a percentage of. Some of the deals were structured as a percentage of the transaction, a percentage of the savings. Some of these properties were so upside down. If you have a property like a $20 million mortgage, you negotiate for a $6 million discount to payoff. If you're charging on the savings are, the property saved itself. There's no equity in the property. So we were structuring these deals as a percentage of the transaction.
So say 1% of $10 million is $100,000,
Yeah, correct. Something like that.
and how would you get paid?
The borrower will pay us.
How?
So in a discounted payoff scenario, they have the money to pay you. Like they're buying it. We negotiate deals with these people who are buying their properties back for pennies on a dollar. Does that sound? That sounds like it's a surprise.
Well,
I mean, you're in the CMBS workout space, so like,
I'm in the hundreds of millions,
Right.
yeah, and some of the tens of millions.
Right.
And, it's sometimes it's tough to get something out of a borrower unless there's a recap of some sort. You
Right.
know, but I'll share that a little later. So you'd start doing CMBS loans. Why'd you get into CMBS loans? Why not just regular loans?
why not just buy CMBS? Why not buy?
No. I mean, like you have residential, then you have commercial, then you have CMBS. Like, how did you move to like CMBS?
The math makes sense to get someone to hire you because you're dealing with millions and millions of dollars. If you're doing a $1 million deal, you get someone to pay you. What are they going to pay you? Like, a couple $100 an hour and
Not making any money.
Right.
So was it challenging? Was it difficult? Did you like it? Did it serve your purpose? Tell me about that.
It was challenging for sure. Difficult, yes. We
Why?
learned
Why?
communication. Like the motivation to. And I've heard you guys talk about it. I've heard Shlomo Chop talk about it. Shout out to Shlomo. Shlomo and I go way back, actually, from the Eastern Union days. I don't know if you know that.
Really, he was at Eastern Union as well.
Yes.
He's a big CMBS worker.
Yeah, he's great. He's great at what he does. And
He is. Yeah.
the communication was difficult. Like the people had no motivation to do any
Right.
deals.
The people that you were talking to, they were like, "Oh, I'm being foreclosed on."
No, I'm talking about the actual lenders had very little motivation to.
Why?
It seemed like they were getting paid to keep these things open as long as they possibly could, kick the can down the road, and
That's how you felt at first.
yeah, that's seemed to us to be listen. I didn't stay in it, so I didn't do a ton of deals.
How long did you stay in it?
For about 2 years.
That's still.
I worked
good.
out probably 5 or 6 loans, maybe a little
Okay,
more.
so let's go back to your purpose. Did you find creativity there?
I found creativity there, not as much as I wanted to, because you were bound by rule books. They had their
The pooling and servicing.
pooling and
agreement.
servicing agreements. So you could come up with great ideas, but
And
if
they're like,
it's
"Oh, we
something-
can't do that because it's not a it's not a PSA."
Yeah, exactly. Or we can't sell the note to you because it's you could come up with the greatest ideas and be a great strategist and a legal strategist
And then contractually, you can't do anything.
and they can't do anything. They're tied. So it's really great. They don't feel the pain that I, as a lender now, when I'm in a foreclosure, right, or the pain or fear or anxiety that an actual lender who has their own money in the deal that would feel, right? Their own money or their investors' money or both.
Talking about the CMBS.
Yeah, there's no emotion. There's no emotion there. They're like nobody. I don't think anyone in the CMBS world on the lender side
Cares.
I don't think they on a weekend while they're chilling out and they're whatever they're doing on the weekend, do they think for a second about, oh my God, I'm nervous about this case because the borrower just filed an answer. Great. Who cares, right? Okay, maybe if they did something, personally to do something to violate.
It's like lender liability claims.
Yeah,
like
and
that.
if they're responsible personally, they care. But other than that, nobody cares.
I have a question about that. I'm sure there were lawyers that these borrowers dealt with. Did you ever interact with those lawyers?
I mean, working for
The workouts, doing the workouts.
Yeah, sure. Matter of fact, we insisted that they hire the lawyers of our choice to represent them. If they're not gonna hire. I'm not gonna just work with a borrower in distress, any lawyer he's gonna hire, because I think that, as you know, you got to be strategic in what you file and how you file and when you file. And if you hire the wrong attorney,
So how do referrals go? Do they go from attorney to you, or from you to the attorney, or both?
a little bit of both.
A little bit of
I mean,
both.
I think the attorneys, no disrespect, but a lot of them think that they know more than the actual
consultants.
Now sometimes they do, but I felt like on the attorneys, at least on the borrower side, were more just like we used them as a tool, to like, okay, file this, answer,
Put
strategy
a motion to dismiss.
when you file it, how you file it, what you include. Some of them are not willing to file
Certain.
counterclaims. They're afraid to do that. They're afraid they're gonna the most common response we got was, "Oh, they'll never agree with that. We'll never win on that, right?" And that
Risk aversive, not risk inviting.
right, but it's not about winning necessarily.
It's about creating leverage.
It's about creating the leverage. Exactly. It's about now this is your world, right? Creating the leverage and creating the perception of leverage.
Time
is the most important
attribute
factor in anything. And on my side and your side, no matter what side.
So you were a little frustrated with the attorneys that you were taking care of, working with, that they didn't fuel that inducement of fear that you have to have with a lender for that lender to make
Right.
to make a decision.
They didn't want to, and I think part of it is maybe it's my own insecurity, but I think taking orders from a ex or from a yeshiva guy who didn't go to law school and but just knows how to be strategic and knows how to think. They're like, you can't do that.
Right. And you're like, well, I play outside the bounds of what's possible, and you play inside the bounds of what is basically possible. So like our rulers don't align.
Right.
And did you ever get an attorney that you worked with well that's worth talking about, that kind of like blended that inception of good negotiation and good leverage? Do you have an attorney like? Does anyone come to
The
mind?
foreclosure attorneys, yes. The workout attorneys that are representing the borrowers, some of them, I think that some of them were good when I actually twisted their arm and I told them, you got to file this and you got to.
So you have to push them.
You have to push them. A lot of them are afraid to do it. A lot of them are, like I said, like I mentioned, they're a little concerned to like. They're afraid of being sanctioned or whatever they're afraid of, right?
Yeah, we're so a little bit about I guess our firm, and we're not afraid to take risks within ethical bounds, and you have to push the envelope with certain lenders, and if you don't, you're going to get crushed. And you have to learn how to pull those levers and create the perception of danger and create the perception of how long it's going to take to foreclose on your borrower. But you seem to have a good handle on that, and you said you did pretty well doing CMBS stuff and consulting stuff, and you made a little bit of money. Am I correct? Did you enjoy that? Did that fuel your creativity?
It fueled the creativity,
but you still didn't hit the purpose.
I didn't hit the purpose. No, I didn't feel like really.
You were still confronting that issue of what makes you tick.
Correct.
So that was your impossible, really. That was one of the facets of your impossible. Like, I'm enjoying.
I also don't like clients. Tell
me about that. Tell me about that. What do you mean by that?
I mean, the truth is, listen, my investors are my clients, but like,
well, there's always a boss, right?
There's always a boss.
At home, you got the wife, you got the kids, right?
Sure.
And shue, you got God,
That's true.
Right? So here in business, you have your investors. So tell me about that.
I feel like being an investor, being like more of an entrepreneur, fuels that more.
That creativity.
More, yeah, for sure. It fuels the creativity. It also, I feel a little bit more independent
So you were grounded in independence. You were grounded in creativity.
Creativity. Well, being creative and it essentially creates. There's independence there, right? If you are allowing yourself to be boxed in by what someone tells you can or cannot do, right?
Well, doesn't that invite more risk, Mendy?
Sure.
Creativity, investors, independence,
it does, but
risk. But
right.
like what? How do you traverse that, man?
When you're, so I'm usually one that interfaces with borrowers. I mean, usually I am. That's what I'm the one that interfaces with or with borrowers or the attorneys. When you have when you're answering to other people, which is what brokers do, right?
Right.
You're not. So I want to be like I want to have the seat at the table, because if I'm the one that's negotiating and I'm the one that's talking to the borrowers, I feel like I have a much more of a sense of what's going on versus having someone else tell me what. Like if here in a workout scenario, if I come to the lender and I make this deal, and then the borrower will come back to me and push back and say, no, I want you to do that, right? The borrower's not talking to the lender. I am, right?
Okay.
So, like, I have the ability to use my instincts meaning with respect to what's going on in the
So you trust your instincts.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's how you dispel risk. How do you manage
it's not that I
risk?
dispel risk. It's that I have a feel for what the risk really is. Like for the nuances. It's nuances.
You went from mortgages to CMBS workouts to now you getting into purchasing notes. How did you make that transition? Because there is risk, right? Going from mortgage to CMBS is risk. From CMBS to purchasing notes is also risk. How did you traverse that? How did you get into that? How did you pass that bridge into that life? That's a very different life, right?
It's a different life.
So tell me about that.
But that's really where I want it to be. Like I want it to be in that. I had a conversation with my partner then, David, and like that was really his baby, and it was kind of like, it was also not a great time to buy real estate. So I wanted to be an investor. I always wanted to be an investor, right? So from the time when I actually left Eastern Union, the goal was to try to get into buying my own investments and doing my own deals as an investor.
Okay.
And so the first thing we did was we got into this workout business, which really something, it was definitely better than
it was a transitory period. Period, right?
Correct. But I always wanted to be on the investment side. But first of all, I didn't really know enough yet to really be on the investor side. So
handle funds of people.
Handle funds of people, and like I'll tell you what the CMBS world, doing the workouts, did for me was like I was a mortgage broker. I didn't have as much of an intimate understanding of the real estate as I did when I had to negotiate a deal with a special servicer, and I had to really
understand the value.
Climb into the numbers. As a mortgage broker, it's to my fault. Like I didn't. If I was a mortgage broker today, I'd be a lot better of a mortgage broker because I really understand the real estate way better, right? And I'd be able to, or maybe I'd be worse because I'd be like, this deal sucks. Like, right? There's no way.
don't
right?
even do it every five, right?
Right. So like,
so CMBS taught you.
It taught me a lot. I got a lot more into the nitty gritty. How to talk the real estate.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by talking to the real estate?
How to relate the realities on the ground. And I'm trying to convince a lender to take a hit, right? If you don't really understand the asset well enough, how can you convince a lender to take a multi-million-dollar write-down?
And how did you do that?
So
what did you need to do? Did you have to get title? Did you have to get a valuation report?
No, I had to really, really understand the real estate.
Would you actually go there?
Sure, of course.
And you did it across the country or in New York City?
Yeah, across the country.
How did you get the leads? You did the whole software stuff?
Software. I used Tripe at one point. We called email blasts. I just did a lot of.
And things came in, and people.
Things came in, and I got assignments, referrals.
Did you have other people under you, or?
No. It was just me. It was David and myself. And we outsourced to analysts. There were a lot of analysts that were doing nothing for a while,
Analysts are?
Underwriters.
Where was Shlomo Chop in this? I mean, was he just starting out?
He was already starting his own thing, yeah.
In the CMBS workouts?
Yeah.
Okay, so at 2 years, why 2 years? Why not at 5 years or 7 years? Why did you stop doing it at 2 years?
Because it really didn't talk to me that much as much as, and I like I mentioned to you,
Was it more money than you were previously before? Making more money? Or
yeah,
less
a little
money?
bit more,
Okay.
but I
okay.
still wasn't excited.
Uh-huh.
I
So
wasn't
look-
excited. I wanted to be an investor. I wanted to do deals. I wanted to be to buy and to
And what'd
sell
you do?
real
Out of your
estate.
house? Out of a WeWork? What did you do?
No, I had an office. I had an office in Lakewood.
Lakewood.
Mm-hmm.
You and the guy.
And David, yeah,
Just you guy coming in with coffee, getting to pound the paving, getting to work.
exactly.
How many files did you have at the height?
Not many. I mean, 10, 15. I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay. But it still paid the bills.
Right.
All right. So at some point you're like, okay, I got to stop this. I got to transition now to full-time investor. How did you do it? What did you do?
I just started making calls, calling banks, calling funds, anyone that was able
But
to.
how did you? What did you do? What did you do?
I pound the phones. That's it.
And did you call the CMBS people and say, hey, now I'm in this business?
No, I actually didn't think that there was anything to do in terms of buying loans based on like the pooling and servicing agreements. I didn't think there was a real play to buy whole loans from the banks. Like,
Right. So where
we
did you
tried, as an example, we tried getting like as a backdoor strategy to get the lender to sell the paper to another third party,
Right.
and like it went literally nowhere. Nowhere.
So where did you find the list to call these loan people? What?
So I had the Liz Pendenses, and I would call, is that how you say it? Multiple Liz Pendenses,
Yeah.
calling off foreclosure leads and just calling the lenders saying, hey, you want to sell your paper?
Oh, knowing
it.
that you had those borrowers in the pocket.
No, it's just even seeing loans that were going into default,
Oh, okay.
and just calling the lender and saying,
instead of the borrower.
correct. Yeah, because like, again, that's the other thing. You're like, there's two angles, and you're calling when you're seeing a foreclosure lead. It can go one of two ways. Like, who's controlling this deal, right? If the borrower's controlling it or the lender's controlling. If there's equity, you can call a lender, but you're going to get. He's going to want full freight
Payout,
for the loan or UPB. If you're calling the lender, if you're calling the owner and there's equity, like, okay, I'll sell you the property.
So tell me about your first deal that you bought.
My first deal was a bait and tackle shop. That was the first property we bought.
What the hell is a bait and tackle shop?
Literally how it sounds. In Point Pleasant, New Jersey, this guy, he lived upstairs, and he sold fishing gear, bait.
Okay.
And
he owned the property?
he owned the property.
What's that? Was it multi-use? What was
It
it?
was a mixed-use property. He lived
Why'd
upstairs.
you buy that paper?
Because it was right around the corner from it's in Point Pleasant. It's 5-10 minute drive from my home.
Okay.
And it was actually the first lender that responded to me. That's why.
Do you remember the lender's name? What was the lender?
It was a fund.
And they're like, okay, no problem. We'll sell this
No,
to you.
like I tried buying a bunch of stuff from them. I see they had a lot of small balance. Listen, we
How
weren't
much is
like
the balance? How was the balance?
the payoff was $1 million. The property was worth like half of that. And I was just trying to get some traction, so I just emailed the lender or the attorney an offer. And he responded,
And he said, okay.
He's like, yeah. He responded with a counter. He's like, this is what I'll sell it for. And I'm
And
like,
what'd you sell it for? Unpaid principal balance or less?
no, I got a discount on UPB. I was like, I paid like 60 cents on the dollar of UPB.
So you got this loan. Now what? It's the first time
now
you're on the
what?
lender's side.
So now what was that we were like, okay, now what do we do? Because like
You have a loan.
we have a loan, we have to buy the loan, and
Oh, you didn't have money yet.
it's, first of all, we didn't have the money. Second of all, like, now wait a minute, foreclosures. We remember how hard it was, how hard we made it for
The other side, yeah.
the other side. What are we gonna do? Like, right? So it's gonna be like, we don't know anything about it. I never foreclosed on a property before. I never did it. Like, I never dealt with it. So we drove to the property and like knocked on the door to the owner and like told him, hey, listen, we see you're in trouble. Do you want to? We're talking to the bank. We might buy your loan. You want to stay or you want to go? You want to do a deed in lieu?
Talk to me.
And yeah, we cut a deal with him. He paid us like, I don't know, $6,000 a month
Oh wow, you modified his loan.
Yeah, we made it. We did a loan modification. He gave us a deed. We knocked out basically, and then we just foreclosed him. We took the property. He stayed over. He stayed on as a tenant. Now this was
So wait, you modified the loan in the anticipation of what?
so it's not we modified the loan. I shouldn't say we basically
Did it
the modification was right now you owe $1 million on a property worth 500,000. If you want to not be personally liable and you want to stay in your building as a tenant and you could even live upstairs, just stipulate to the foreclosure and give us a deed. So he took a deed in one entity, so we didn't have a merger issue.
Yeah.
You could explain that to your audience when you want.
Sure, no problem. I'll explain.
And then we foreclosed. We took title to the property, and then we ended up selling. Like, fast forward, we sold it for like 600. So
you made a profit or no?
It's a nice price. Yeah, sure. I'm saying we paid like 3 something for it.
How did you get the funds for the first project? How did you get?
We had to raise it from investors, and that was a struggle. It's crazy.
So tell me about that. What?
By the way, if I knew about all the stuff, all the challenges I'm going to have, right? Like doing this, I would have probably stayed a mortgage broker, like all the way from the beginning. Because, right, the thing is, nobody knows and it's a good thing. It's not good to know all the challenges that you're going to go through to get to your point.
So the plot thickens. And
Yeah.
when you were a mortgage broker, you had this creativity
oh my
inside
God.
of you,
Yeah,
and you were like, I gotta do something with that. Then you came to the CMBS. You're like, okay, it's still not answering it. And you're like, I want to be an investor. I want to be an investor. And now you became an investor.
And we're like, oh my gosh, yeah. I got it. And we showed the deal to like 50 people. Right? They raised money at like $75,000 a clip. And
So are you developing your personality in all this? Are you developing your character?
Absolutely.
In all this?
I'm actually enjoying it though. I mean, as much as I
More than a mortgage broker, more than a
yeah, for
CMBS
sure.
consultant?
But I'm saying
Well, why?
it came with a lot.
Why? What is it?
I guess I like being an entrepreneur. The fact
So you're
that
more excited. You were more excited.
Yeah.
Did you answer your excitement when you became that first investor?
when we got that first deal done, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Why? What did it answer inside?
I'll tell you what happened with the deal in a minute,
So how did you raise the funds? What did you start cold calling?
no, we
What was the
put
split? How much money did you make?
We put together an OM,
What's an OM?
an offering memorandum to the investors.
Oh, for that
just
one deal?
Yeah, there's a deal. We're buying this loan. It's in a great location. It was the funkiest property around. And this is what the rent's going to be. And this is what, we're putting X dollars in, which very little. I think we put some money in the deal.
You put some money into the deal, like what, 20%?
Yeah, and not even, right?
Like 10?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, no comment.
So you raised on the 90%.
And we raised the money, and then
what was the return that you gave them? 7%, 10%, 20%?
No, I think
it was an equity play or debt play?
It was an 8 or 10 pref,
Okay.
and then
On exit?
no. So the preferred return was accruing, and we did a 60-40 split. I think we got some of the cash flow. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Okay.
It was and then but this guy was a single tenant, right? So like if things go bad, right?
Things go bad.
Yeah, things go bad. But again, it's it was close. It was nearby. It was like something that we're comfortable
Feet to the
with.
ground, comfortable.
Yeah, it's a good place to start for sure.
Okay. Did you feel confident through all the way through?
While we were raising the money, no, because first of all, we were new at this, so like no one, no one knows like.
So would you?
Yeah, how do you know what you're doing? So that's why that was also a big help that we mitigated the risk by getting the deed, and we knew we're not gonna have a fight from the guy, so we got that under control. So like we because I couldn't answer like what happens if the borrower files for bankruptcy, or the tenant files for bankruptcy once you get the property back. Like there's a lot of different things.
Right.
Can go wrong. So it was a challenge raising the money, but we raised it
So there's fear.
for sure.
Did that fear control you in the way you traversed that terrain for your first deal?
Did it control me?
Yeah.
Did I try to back out? Is that what you're asking?
No. Well,
I think like maybe I shouldn't.
When you buy and know, you want to foreclose. You don't want to go to the borrower, knock on the door, automatically say, "Hey, well, let's modify." There's a little fear there. No,
That's why. Oh, you want to know? That was part of why we did that, right? Sure, there was fear. There's fear because first, like I mentioned, I know, like I've tied lenders up for a long, long time, right? So I know all the things that.
Me too.
Right? There you go. Right? And like, you're in New York. If you're dealing with a New York foreclosure, I mean, forget about it. You could be sitting for years. But like, New Jersey is
little better.
A little better. A lot better. I think a lot better.
All right. How soon did you settle
we had a deal done when we were in contract. So the minute we closed, we had the deed at hand. Mm-hmm. The problem was, I'll just tell you a quick challenge, is that this property, we bought it in October of 2000 or September 2012. You remember something called Hurricane Sandy?
Yeah.
Right? So the borrower ran a bait and tackle shop, which does fishing gear and fishing equipment. Like there's pretty much right after we closed, like there was no business anymore. His business was shut down. So he wasn't paying us. We fell behind. We were freaking out about that. The investors weren't getting their returns,
And how did you manage that?
We caught him up. I mean, the guy sold his baseball card collection to pay us rent. I mean, it was like crazy. He was a good guy, but we ended up selling it a year and change later.
Empty or no?
No.
With him there?
He survived, and then after that, I think he went belly up, but we sold the property.
You sold the property?
We sold it, yeah.
And you made a profit?
We made a profit.
How'd you feel after you made a profit?
I felt good. I felt really good. And then I felt a lot more confident in buying these,
But did you know what the hell you were doing?
No, I didn't know what I was doing. And we bought a couple more even in the interim.
Who were your investors?
A couple of local guys from Shul, pretty much. We kept on the foreclosure firm that was handling the case before. And then we quickly realized why we were able to buy it at such a discount. These people were just dragged their feet. We fired them pretty much like
right away.
Yeah, no, it was like 3-4 months later when we realized they were just not
doing anything.
They were not doing anything. There was one of these mills, one of the foreclosure mills that does a lot of residential foreclosures. So we
you got somebody else.
We found another. There was another attorney that we met through another one of my calls when I was calling them, and
You probably had a good source of all these people.
We had a good source of these people, but so he ended up taking over the foreclosure for us. We got a little more confident. We got really. I mean, this attorney that I worked with, Joe McCarthy from Minor and Landis. He was an attorney out of Newark.
Are you in multiple states?
We're in multiple states. Yeah. We have loans all over the place now. Yeah, we're in Florida. We're in Texas. We're doing something in Arkansas right now. We did California. We did New York.
But you have to know what you're doing in those new laws and new states.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you
understand the process for sure?
So just to review, you were a mortgage broker, then you were a CMBS consultant, then you raised your first deal in New Jersey. It was a successful deal. Were you still doing CMBS workouts while you were doing that?
No, we actually got into we bought several other loans even during that time period. So before we even worked out and finally got through the first.
And who was
loan.
that? Was that David that put the money down?
No, we raised.
You had money, you saved money.
We raised the funds, and we got a little more. The investors. I guess we're good with reporting. We keep everyone up to date, so they got comfortable with us. We found a couple other deals along the way that were no brainers that we were able to
make profit off.
To buy and make profit of.
And people kept giving money, and you became responsible for it. And
correct.
You gained confidence.
Yes.
You gained confidence.
Absolutely.
Now let me ask you a question. Did you ever fulfill your purpose when you became that investor? Remember in your 20s when you became a mortgage broker, you didn't like it.
Correct. You want to know if I'm on to the next caper now? No, I'm in this business. I really enjoy it.
Tell me why you enjoy it.
First of all, I like being an entrepreneur. I like to hunt. I like hunting for opportunity, right?
Okay.
So.
And what do you hunt for?
I hunt for stories, for situations. That's what I buy. I like situations.
Do you consider that's where your creativity comes from?
Correct.
So you still want to do the challenging stuff?
Yeah, but it's happening a lot more now, right?
And your returns are from your equity, and your distributions are from the cash flow, and that's how you make your living.
from this, so from the sale of the property or from cash flow. We buy performers. We've bought, so we'll take a little fee for that for performing loans.
Okay. So you modify loans. You have loans in the books.
Not many, but if I'm saying no, I've bought performing loans at big discounts and put them, and then been able to stabilize them. So that will do, right?
Tell me about that.
We bought a deal in California. First and second loan, we bought the first from a bank and the second from the SBA, and we basically converted to a performing loan. We got cash flow like crazy for a couple of years, and then
you stabilized it
until the borrower defaulted, and then we got paid off.
Yeah. So we've been talking for about an hour now, and tell me what this is a span of how many years? How many years is this a span of?
Since 2012.
2025. How has life developed for you? What has changed? What are you doing more of? What are you doing less of?
We're getting very busy now in debt acquisition, like extremely busy. There's a lot.
How big is your fund, if you don't mind me asking? 10 million, 20 million, 100 million, 1 billion.
It's close to 50.
Okay. And you like that size? Or you want to raise more debt?
I definitely want to raise more debt.
So you're looking for investors?
We are always looking for investors, but the challenge is obviously having deals for the investors to invest in. So obviously you want to have...
You have lockup periods or no?
What does that mean?
You give me your money, $1 million, it's locked up for 3 years.
No, we actually don't have a fund. We're not really a fund. We're on a syndicated basis. I don't want to have a gun to my head to do deals. So like if I find a deal that makes sense...
You call up your investor.
We have the investor. It's usually
it's deal specific.
Deal specific, absolutely.
And how many deals do you have at any time with a $50 million fund? 10 deals, 20 deals, 100 deals?
Right now, we have around 25.
25.
Yeah.
About 25. And is David still your partner?
No.
When did that stop?
In 2021.
What happened? Amicable?
Amicable, definitely amicable. So the debt acquisition business was really not very active from 2018 and on, really. So at that point, from that point on, really, I focused on buying. I actually bought several value-add commercial properties.
So you do construction and development?
I'm not doing no construction. But what I mean value-add, like I would say light value-add, but being able to buy. When you're buying real estate, there's ways to unlock value, obviously,
right?
Other than doing construction,
right?
So I bought several commercial properties. I bought deals out of bankruptcy
that you could flip.
That I was able to flip and sell. So we did that. I did that for several years, and then basically there was nothing else going on in the debt space in the non-performing debt space.
Would you ever go back to CMBS and mortgaging?
To be a mortgage broker, no. To be a CMBS consultant, no.
No. So
no
there's more money in being an investor. Or is there more
I don't know.
purpose?
I like it more. I mean, it could be there's more money in being a CMBS consultant.
But you kind of decided, hey, my purpose has been answered. I want to be an investor. I've always wanted to be an investor.
Correct.
So what's confronting the impossible for you like? What did you confront in your mortgage days, in your CMBS days, now that you're an investor? What was it that you were trying to confront? What was your impossible that you've confronted? If you had to think about it.
That's a good question, right? Now that you brought it out, a lot of it was just desire to be myself, right? And do what it is that I really talks to me, right? How many people do what they really like? How many people do they really love?
So what's confronting the impossible for you? Confronting you, who you are.
Okay. Yeah, I guess so.
And when you did confront who you are you? Now that you're an investor. Throughout your years, you wanted to be this investor.
Right.
And you didn't like being a mortgage broker because it was just boring. You wanted to be...
boring, and I didn't feel like I created any... I was able to differentiate myself.
And I feel like CMBS was creative, but it still didn't speak to you. And maybe it made a little bit of money and you did it even for less amount of time. But I think you were always searching to become that investor. And when you became that investor, those challenges didn't go away.
No.
You still have to cold call. You still have to raise money.
Exactly.
Right? You still have to face challenges and
Right.
promise things and, you know,
Don't try to convince me out of it now.
no, it won't.
Just kidding.
But you know, it's interesting. It's very interesting that in this exercise, the only thing that changed is what position you sit in and what position you feel you're most comfortable in.
Right.
Because you're doing everything the same. You're still making the cold calls. You're
Right.
still promising people certain returns and certain objectives and certain, you know,
Accountability.
yeah. But now you just feel comfortable in what you're doing and you feel that you've answered something inside of you that says, oh, this is who I am. This is what I wanted to become, and I've become this person. And the challenges didn't go away, but
Right.
your mind's at peace. I want to hear from you, though.
I think, yeah, it is. I don't. It's a good question. I don't know why I feel at peace doing it, why I feel satisfied doing it.
It's the same thing. You're doing the same things.
I don't have a problem with responsibility, right? I feel like, is it a control thing? Is it that I
don't
feel
know.
like
I don't know.
it could be that's what it is. It could be like feeling like I have the, like, obviously you're never in control. You're never in control of results. You're in control of what moves you make.
Right.
You're in control of I'm going to say a word that could be you heard of. My brain is fried right now. Hishtadlut. You know,
What is that?
It's Hebrew. It means basically my efforts. Right, I'm controlling my efforts. What I can do, how much time I want, how much time I want to spend in the office, how much time I want to spend focusing on something.
What was your definition of success versus when you were a mortgage broker, CMBS consultant, and now that you're this investor? What was the definition of that success now versus when it was previously before? How do you define it now?
Can you ask that question again?
Of course. Being a mortgage broker, the success was closing a deal.
Right.
Being a CMBS consultant, the success was, rightfully modifying for your borrower and making a fee. And as an investor, I'm assuming is getting a return. But it has to be a little bit more than that.
It's the making the deal and being and getting a deal at the right price and being responsible about it and making the right offer and having the right instincts to pull the trigger or to walk away. I mean, I've walked away many times from deals that I felt didn't make any sense, right?
So confronting the impossible for you is confronting the deal, confronting the issues that your investors have or your borrowers have, and overcoming that. And in that same thing, overcoming what you enjoy to do, you have to confront your borrower's purpose.
Right. So you're talking deal specific right now.
Yeah,
There's different,
yeah.
like not about my
Who you are and what you are.
my deals, right? But so there's every deal has, there's a challenge in every deal, right?
But I'm saying more macro. How did you confront the impossible throughout your life, and how you've grown up to be? How did you do that? Maybe something to think about, because your development has always been in the search
right
of who you are, and I think you found that. I don't think you're a mortgage broker. I don't think you're a consultant. You're an investor, right?
Right.
So you have to confront.
I'm an investor, and what really drives me as an investor is to make smart, intelligent decisions, protect my investors' capital, and obviously at the same time I want to make money, right? So I want to do smart deals that make money.
But you've made money in being a CMBS consultant. You made money being a mortgage broker, but
You want to know why is it that this talks to me much more than
why?
than that? Yeah, what is it about? So, I mean, people could be entrepreneurial, right? I mean,
Right.
Buying something and taking a deal under control that is at point A and seeing a vision that I can get it to point B and open up and unlock value is somebody that talks to me.
So confronting the impossible is confronting that you might be out of control, and something that puts you into control you feel most comfortable in.
Right. Even though we're not really in control. Even though the results are really not in our, we have no control over the results. We have control over what we do and the action steps we take in order to make those results happen.
So in spite of not being in control, you've placed yourself in the best place to be in control, knowing that you're really not.
Yes.
And that's your best
That's
way
interesting. That's it. Yeah, maybe that's the nugget that you're looking for here, right?
Well, yeah, because how do your impossible was, oh my God, I'm not going to be successful if I'm out of control, so I got to get into control. But you can't control anything.
Control. So right, exactly. It goes back to the original immaturity, right? Because you can't control anything. So like I have to make 1 million phone calls to get somebody. So like whether I'm doing this or I'm doing that, you just got to take the steps to make it happen.
So the way you confront that is in changing your position from a mortgage broker to a CMBS consultant into your favor, being an investor, because to you, that is what almost guarantees that you can control it, although you know you can't.
That's great. Yes. Yes. I want to be as close as possible. I want to eliminate, basically. By the way, now I have this. This is worth it today to come here just to develop this. As an investor, I could do everything I can that's in my power, and the rest I leave to God.
Because in mortgages you couldn't do that. In the CMS consultant world, you couldn't do that. Here, because it's not
right. Well, again, like some of these people, in the CMBS world. Some lawyer, some servicing pooling agreement, some bond holders, like they're really doing their thing, and like and in the mortgage broker, you have to call borrowers, you got to get them to send you rent rolls, you have to get opportunities, and then you have to have, and then the committee is going to decide your fate, or the whoever. Right, we'll decide your fate, and then here, I guess it's one step closer to
you deciding your fate.
Yeah,
to you being in control.
I do as much as
to you confronting your impossible the best way you can.
Right. By the way, even that. Listen, you're a landlord. Some tenant could wake up one morning, just not be in the mood, and decide he doesn't want to rent from you anymore. Right.
So, Mendy, I want to thank you for coming on to the show. Hopefully, it was a pleasure for you to be with me talking about your life and your experiences. I found you wildly interesting.
Thank you.
And what you do very interesting. And to next time on Confronting the Impossible, where we talk about the trials and tribulations of what makes people tick and how they confront their impossible. Thank you, Mendy. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.